Sixer Nation, be thankful this offseason worked out the way it did, because based on what you will hear today, they almost made a huge mistake, or at least that's what I believe. What do you say? Welcome on into Philly Take with RB. I'm RB. This show is powered by BetUS. Shout out to them for partnering with the show. Be sure to like and subscribe for more coverage as we are getting near. We are getting close. Aiden Laporta, the Sixers play basketball in 31 days, maybe even less when you consider some of the preseason games, the first one still to be announced. And just so you all know, again, for this season coming up, we will be obviously going live during every game, but we will have pre and post game coverage as well. We are expanding the content, a lot of great things to come. So be sure to stay tapped in. But Sixer Nation, I have a question for you. Are you happy with the way this offseason worked out? Do you think that this was the perfect offseason, that the roster is ready to go? Do you wish that they had went another route? Do you wish that they didn't get another big-time player and pay another big-time contract? Or do you think this was the best solution for their issues? Give me your thoughts down below, because we're about to get into some spicy stuff. Before we do that, though, a shout out to our sponsor of today's show, BetUS. And right now, one of the odds I'm keeping my eyes on BetUS is Nick Nurse, Coach of the Year, plus 1,000. I think those are really good odds. The Sixers should have good regular season success. Nurse is a mastermind. He's one of the reasons I think this team can really excel this season. And look at what he did last year, being undermined in some ways and being undermanned. And, I think he has a really good shot to come back and win another Coach of the Year. Right now, you can get a 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits by using the code YouTube150 upon signup. So go check it out. Sign up for BetUS. Use the code YouTube150. We're going to put a little bit on Nick Nurse to try to win Coach of the Year. Really good odds, in my opinion. Go ahead and check out BetUS. Okay, let's talk about the 76ers, because they almost signed DeMar DeRozan, or maybe signed and traded. I don't know. But Brendan Nunes put this out, a clip from the recent Paul George podcast, Podcast P. He had DeMar DeRozan on the show, and DeRozan talked about his decision to join the Sacramento Kings. It ended up being a sign and trade. The Bulls got pretty much nothing back. They got Duarte and a couple picks. The Bulls organization has been terribly ran. They are corrupt right now. It's crazy for such a historical franchise that has had success. DeMar DeRozan, on his latest decision to join the Sacramento Kings, says, quote, "I was just looking for an opportunity to win at a high level. I just felt like it fit." He also says the Sixers, Lakers, Clippers, and Heat were legitimate options. But listen to what he says and how he says it about the Sixers.
One, this is funny. One, I had to wait for what you was going to do, first of all. So I'm waiting for what you was going to do, first of all.
Where else during that free agency, where else was you thinking about going?
Just thinking about Philly.
Okay.
Philly definitely was an option. Lakers was an option always.
Philly definitely was an option, says DeMar DeRozan, and it almost sounds like they had offered him or wanted him to come there. I'm sure that was a viable backup plan, but ladies and gentlemen, what would you have thought if the Sixers had brought in DeMar DeRozan instead of Paul George? Now, I think DeMar DeRozan has been underrated for sure for multiple seasons in his career, and I feel bad for the guy. He plays 9 seasons with the Raptors, then he gets traded, they go win the championship the next year, and he just bounces around the Spurs, the Bulls. He has had a tough time, right? And he's been a valuable, solidified player. But my question is, can he really be the deciding factor? Can he be a top 2 option on a championship team? Even here in Philly, could he be that number 3 guy? I just have a tough time believing it, because his numbers look great. But when it comes down to playoff success, right? When it comes down to some of the things you need to be able to do in those big time moments, I don't know if I can trust him to do it. Yeah, he's a mid-range killer. Yes, he can give you 20 a game, but can he knock down shots? Is he going to be a liability from beyond the arc? Can he play defense on some of these better players? Sure, maybe you could slide him into the 2 and kind of limit that a bit, but I just don't know if he's one of those guys, rather than just stuffing the stat sheet and making it look better than it is, can be a winning type of player on a championship team. I like DeRozan. I would take him on the Sixers, but If it was down to DeRozan or Paul George, I would take Paul George every single day. There's no question about it. And I do kind of like the dynamic with Maxey and B when it comes to DeRozan and how he plays. But I also think you have to cater a team around him to the way that he does play. Like, his style is very niche and specific. And that's why I don't think it worked out with Zach LaVine and the Bulls. And that's why I don't think it worked out, in some of these other situations. So, man, I think the Sixers really dodged a bullet here. And DeMar DeRozan talks about what it's like to move as an NBA player. He says, quote, "I think ever since I left Toronto, I never found an emotional connection to where I was at." I'm surprised he didn't go back to LA. I know they've been rumored for years now, but I also do have to respect his decision to say, you know what, I'm going to go to a smaller market team like the Sacramento Kings, even going out to the West Coast. I'm going to pick a team like that. He talked about the ambiance and the fan base and being diehard fans and lighting the beam and all this stuff. It seems like he's really invested in winning, and he doesn't want to just go to the Lakers, who are going to criticize him and probably lose a lot of games and then blame it on him and probably ask for him to be traded. I also think it's a little bit interesting. I'm kind of curious that the Kings signed DeRozan to a 3-year deal up to $76 million. So let's just say 25 roughly per year. It ended up being a sign and trade. If the Sixers would have gotten DeMar DeRozan, they would have not had any flexibility to do anything else, right? You look at their cap table. Obviously, they pay Paul George almost $50 million, but a sign and trade triggers different things that, disable a team from being able to be more flexible. They most likely wouldn't have been able to get Caleb Martin, or maybe even bring Kelly Oubre Jr. back, or use KJ Martin as a trade chip. And he only got paid $25 million per year. And it is pretty crazy when you think about where the Sixers are at, right? They're in kind of a desperation mode. They needed to make something happen. They needed to get one of these big names. There weren't a lot available. So I'm very happy that they targeted and honed in on Paul George. But if that was a miss, they may have realistically ended up with DeMar DeRozan, and then they would have had to fill out the roster. And I just don't think that team would have had nearly any shot of competing or any capability of just being better than they have been before. Again, I like DeRozan's game, but I just don't know, especially at this age, if he can still be that guy. So very interesting stuff as it relates to DeMar DeRozan. But what do you guys think? Did the Sixers make a potential mistake? Should they have gotten DeMar DeRozan? I've seen people in the comments before saying, RB, we need to get DeRozan. We need to get this guy on the Sixers. I just don't know if he's that guy to help put us over the top. I think Paul George can be, based on his role, but maybe you disagree. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comments section. As always, appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay in tune with the coverage, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.